Hi there. I noticed some of you have questioned about how one of my um, hobbies is martial arts. Well, I've been doing that for a very long time, since I was a teenager. Mostly Taekwondo, traditional style, so not the Olympic. I've done the Olympic style. I've even sparred with an Olympic team member in Hong Kong. I lost quite badly, but I'm more interested in the traditional style, which is more like karate. I first became interested in this kind of thing, at least partly due to a TV show called Kung Fu, which was very big in the 1970s. Yeah, I remember seeing many episodes of it, some when it was new, some when it was being repeated in the 80s. It was the story of a character who's supposed to be a Shaolin monk. Now, he's played by a white guy, David Carradine. So their story was that he was half Chinese, half European, which explained his appearance. He was a very loyal disciple of the Shaolin Temple until he got into an incident where he killed the nephew of an emperor and had to be exiled from China. He was a wanted man. He ended up in the Wild West. So this was the 19th century. He was a character wandering the Wild West, still trying to avoid all the bounty hunters who wanted the reward that was on his head. And throughout the story, he would often look back to his training at the temple and the wise words taught to him by his masters, especially an old blind man called Master Po, who always addressed Cain as grasshopper. It was very, very famous part of the story that. What really appealed to me, you see, at the time I was being bullied and I was trying to keep my temper, especially when people smaller than me bullied me, and I didn't want to lash out at people who are younger and smaller than myself. And the teachings of the temple, they were often very Taoist, even though it was supposed to be a Buddhist temple, and they were often to do with peace and harmony. The idea was that the characters were very well trained and very capable of looking after themselves, but they didn't feel the need to prove themselves. I kind of hoped that I'd be able to keep my temper and be much cooler if I knew I could handle myself and I didn't have to prove anything. I didn't have to care who thought I was weak because I knew how strong I was. Didn't always work. As many people have probably noticed, I still got a bit of a temper on me sometimes. But it was a very interesting philosophy and something to hope for and to wish you could do. Anyway, while I was at Kids Gallery, where I used to teach as a drama teacher, I wrote some little plays based on films and TV shows that I liked. So I did one based on Kung Fu with a story where Cain meets a boy who wants to be taught to fight so he can beat up the bully at school. And Cain gently persuades him not to do this and tries to help out with the bully without resorting to violence, which is always the preferred method. Of course, because it was an action show, no matter how often Cain spoke of peace, sooner or later he got into fights, so there were always fight scenes. And watching them now, they're not very convincing because the actor, David Carradine, was a character actor and a dancer. He wasn't a martial artist. So the kung fu sequences are never nothing like as good as they'd be if it was, say, Bruce Lee or Bolo Lung or somebody doing the fighting. But the story and the way the character always tries to avoid conflict and resorts to force only when he can't avoid it is a very, very, very good message. And the words of wisdom from the old masters are always very inspiring. I really like this series. I used to have it all on DVD. I'm sorry I wasn't able to bring my DVD collection home with me from Hong Kong because that was a set worth having. Anyway, as well as writing a play, of course, as usual at Kids Gallery, I wrote a poem. So this is the one I wrote for Kung Fu. Okay? I want to learn to fight, said the boy. That is not my way, said the monk. Bashing people proves you're a man, said the boy. It proves you're a fool, said the monk. But the world's full of battles, said the boy. Which are better avoided, said the monk. But they'll think I'm afraid, said the boy. But you'll know you're not, said the monk. So why learn Kung Fu at all, said the boy. So you know better than to fight, said the monk. It sums up the attitude I'd like to have about martial arts. I don't always live up to my own ideals. As I say, I can still sometimes get grumpy and bad-tempered, but I try. Anyway, that's all for now. Bye.